G'day friends and fans. Welcome to Dave Talk Stuff, Ukraine War Update for the 29th of July 2025. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood Arcade, Power Games, Into the Osbound, and The Erotic Tales from the Empire. Part 1 available now. All my books are on Amazon. Thank you to all those who support the channel. You can support the channel by buying my books, buying my merch, and joining my patrons. All my links are in the link tree. You can scan the QR code right now or wait till the end of the show. Thank you to all those who support the channel. Really appreciate it. Also need you to like, share, subscribe, comment below because the algorithm demands it. Now, not much is in the news, but what news there is all about Trump. Trump has brought forward the deadline with Putin to end or at least enter into a truce. The new deadline is 10 to 12 days. Now, devil is in the details, so what do we know? About 20 hours ago, President Trump, while in Scotland, announced that he was changing the deadline on the Russian leader to bring an end to the war, or at least a ceasefire, or face economic penalties. Trump told reporters he'd make the due deadline about 10 to 12 days from the time he spoke, and that it'll be confirmed tonight or in the next day. It was later confirmed that a letter was drafted and sent to the Russian Foreign Ministry, and of course publicly Trump has expressed his frustration with Putin. Initially was 50 days, blah, 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 irrelevant. Right. Russia has responded twice. First comes from the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov. Earlier this morning, American time, he responded by saying Trump may announce a new deadline tonight or tomorrow unless a deal was made. So his response was, "We have taken note of President Trump's statement yesterday," he told reporters, adding Russia remains committed to the peace process to resolve the conflict in Ukraine and ensure its national interests. These are the sort of statements that upset Trump because they're hollow. And let's be honest, so is Zelensky. Now, earlier July said he'll start with 100% secondary tariffs. Now, these are tariffs against Russia with no specific country in mind yet, but it basically is saying, you buy Russian oil, we're going to tariff you. Full stop. Not tariff some of you. No. BRICS, Brazil, everybody trading in Russian oil will get 100% tariff on everything that they sell to the United States. And Europe and others are all joining in. Okay, so this will bitterly divide the world, but that's what BRICS is doing, bitterly dividing the world. Now, apparently I've been pronouncing Medvedev. Yeah, I've been pronouncing his name wrong. It's Medvedev. Apparently. Now, he's responded to, I think it was Senator Lindsey Graham, demand that they come to the peace table. And he's saying, no, bro, it's going to end on our terms. And that's not a good way to respond. Yeah, it was Lindsey Graham. Ooh, and he responded by saying, work on America first, Gramps. Many believe that President Trump is not serious because he won't stand up to Ukraine. And also points out Joe Biden and his dithering. No, bro, I'm sorry, but President Trump and Biden are not the same. Not in the same league. Not in the same country. Okay? President Trump is in the USA. Biden's in California and Delaware. You know, he's in the blue states, or he's in the Confederacy. He thinks General Lee's in charge. We're going to whoop those Northerners, boy. Yeah. All right, so key events. There was fighting. Russia hit at Ukraine with over 300 drones. Ukraine claims to have shut them all down, including some missiles, but then later admitted some drones and missiles hit their target. And then later added, but don't worry, it was only civilian targets. Aid has been cut. Now, before we get to the rest of the news, we'll just go around the map and look what's happened, what's been reported. So, missile struck somewhere in ProWritingAid, probably a drone factory. Did I not say they would hit? Yeah, I actually said it was Dnipro, but this area, in anticipation of the Ukraine build-up, probably in this region. Nowhere else, however, but we'll get to a bit of the fighting. Now, apparently there's been a lull in a lot of the fighting. Most of these are sporadic at best, and there's no real offensive. Troops are not leaving their trenches. They are exchanging fire with their Ukrainian counterparts. There's no actual offensive here. These are mostly trench actions, according to Ukrainian bloggers. Now, they're actually querying from the perspective, is Ukraine seriously defending itself or not? Are they defending themselves, or are they going to try? They are actually concerned that Ukraine isn't trying to drive out the invaders, that they're just dug in. So from the Ukrainian perspective, they see Ukraine's inaction as an advantage to Russia, because Russia knows where to find them each and every day. There's no surprise, there's no tactics on the battlefield. And as you can see, Russia has advanced south of Chasiv and brought up more men and machines, and they have started bombarding artillery onto Khmelnytskyi. They've advanced here in the south, not completely. They've secured this road up to this reservoir or lake, whatever. Not sure if it's a natural lake or a reservoir. I actually think it's a reservoir. They've cut off the river that would have flowed down here. Not much here. I would have expected them to be further, but it looks like they're settling in. But then again, mine clearing operations could be going on. Same here, they're securing this road and bringing up artillery on Mironodad, and as you see, Peskov, they're moving east to reduce this cauldron to bring up more mortar and take control of the road. As you can see, they're moving up as well to surround Pervesk, as well as cutting off some manpower from Ukraine. But apparently, in this area, this area, not behind, not in the towns, but in this area, Ukrainians are allegedly gathering throughout the countryside, and they are forming up into, apparently now it is trench works in these towns. So they, as I said, they're expecting Russia to try and come up behind these towns here. So they are reinforcing these lines, these blue lines here. Yeah. To stop Russia coming up through here. So once they cross over here, once they take Provosk, they'll come up through here. But they'll also come up through here to cut off Ukrainians on this road. So it's ad hoc at best what Russia is doing. It's not going to be a straightforward push. But we'll never know. We'll never know until it happens. Like I said, it looked like they were closing this, but then they switched priority to over here. But they are still fighting on these edge. The Ukrainians have reinforced this town and this area to try and stop the Russian advance. Not much else has happened elsewhere, except, well, one, there was an attempted river crossing up here, which was hit by Russian artillery, and another one down here, which it was hit by Russian airstrikes. Russian helicopters took care of 4 boats trying to cross the river, and they also attacked the rally point and command center. The rest was taken care of with drones all the way through. So I would expect, or would have expected, Russia to hit these areas. But given the way it looks now, it does appear that the Russians are expecting to ignore the deadline, go for alignment offensive, cutting right through, probably to the top end, which would, but we've yet to see, and basically a second offensive cutting through. So, well, let's say there's 4 army groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here. This one here, through here, right? Just basically cutting off. This one here, they attack this, right? This one here attacks this. This one here comes up here. So you have a vice grip and basically an array of artillery and fighting and confusion, which will either entrap, ensnare, endanger, and put 50 to 100,000 Ukrainians on the short list, but at the risk of 100,000 Russians being killed within weeks. I think it's a bold move that won't happen. I think there's the possibility that Putin will weigh the consequences, I suppose, and sometime after the tariffs, they'll either decide to cut their losses in a straight line or redraw some of the map. And by redraw, I mean they'll trade some of these little buffer zones probably for just basically a nice, even. They may hold Zaporozhye up as a they probably want to dismantle it or decommission and sell it to the Europeans. I think Putin still has a range of options, but it's looking better if he starts to draw the line and say, there's this agreement. But of course it does hinge on neutrality, doesn't it? So Putin may get a little bit, but I don't think after, let's see, when would the deadline be? I think, yeah, by Sunday, Sunday night in August, Friday night in August, I would say Trump will announce the tariffs. Congress will debate the bill that will give 48 hours notice to companies or countries dealing with Russia to begin suspending operations or face direct sanctions, as well as sanctions on their host countries. I think the slowing of the war will probably bring late September results. Because we don't know exactly what General Kellogg has negotiated. And remember, a lot of this has to do with Zelensky failing to stop his attacks on Russia. So there's going to be some pushback from Russia over the coming weeks over Trump not standing up to Ukraine. They've made that clear, but it's not bleeding into the mainstream media. But Turkey has stood up and said, we'll host this. And they have actually held talks on the 23rd. There was supposed to be talks, Moscow offered more than 3,000 dead Ukrainians, but they but instead, Ukraine, according to Zelensky, it was decided that they'll go for a fourth round of talks instead. So a lot of this has to do with Ukraine, but it's not bleeding through to the mainstream. Too many people blindly support Ukraine and everything that Ukraine does. But tomorrow there should be talks. There should be something tomorrow. We'll see. But it's likely to be Ukraine and Brussels. But Brussels has cut aid. This has been acknowledged in the media. That Kiev is facing deeper cuts than they expected. Brussels reportedly has apparently lost their patience with Zelensky. Now, this is not military aid. This is not civilian aid. This is their propping up of Zelensky's government. Now, it's not much, but it's still a lot it's still a lot of money to you and I, but not much in the grand scheme of how much they spent. But Zelensky's facing a loss of $4.5 billion US. The Ukrainian government has not backed down, and new protests on the anti-graft law. Zelensky's only promised to reverse the decision. He hasn't. He's only paying lip service. And many EU countries are saying that this is the biggest interference in the Ukrainian anti-corruption system since its inception. So this is bigger than the Burisma scandal. This is bigger than remember the Burisma scandal was the firing of the prosecutor. This is bigger than the deputy defense minister coming out as corrupt. This is bigger than the redistribution of funds under Zelensky, and he's taking over of more parliamentary duties, setting foreign policy without debate, setting martial law into practice again without debate. He's ignored the courts for the fourth or fifth time. But no, his only crime is disobeying Ursula von der Leyen. Now, I am sure the Anti-Corruption Commission is a puppet of the EU. No doubt about it, because it's the only thing the EU cares about. And we know from history the only thing the EU cares about is the EU and its bureaucracy. So Zelensky has trodden on the precious bureaucrats, and Ursula is one of those guardian angels of the most corrupt system known to man, and that is the bureaucracy. Now, Zelensky's crime isn't cutting the bureaucracy, of course. He was actually just controlling it. Now, rightfully or wrongfully, ironically, we'll never know, but isn't it strange that the only time the EU cares is when somebody comes after one of their precious institutions? But the world is crumbling slowly. It hasn't reached free fall. Ironically, the BRICS will get its way and it will be a multipolar world. But if Russia clings to the BRICS, they'll be dragged down by China. And this is a glorious opportunity for Putin to finally cut ties with Xi, to possibly negotiate a ceasefire with Trump directly, to take, it'll be months, it should be months, a long process to decouple from China. No, you can't decouple completely. But if Putin wants to keep Russia together, his only hope is Trump. Because once Trump's gone, you're at the mercy of the neo-colonizers of India and China, backed by Brazil. And the illegal EU. The EU's illegal, okay? It was instituted by policy, not by election. Governments just said, okay, it's no longer the European Trade Commission, it's now just the European Union, and they control our laws. And the government signed away your rights, and basically that's illegal. So hopefully more people will pay attention, more people will wake up and realise that it's not as simple, it's not as black and white as Russia bad, Ukraine good, okay? It is multiple corrupt people fighting over Ukraine, and a corrupt Ukraine just sucking up to the highest bidder. Ukraine will betray us in a heartbeat if Russia was stronger or China was in a better financial position. But of course, all liberals care about is them getting ahead at any price. But it's all coming apart, okay? And Trump is trying to stitch things back together. He doesn't have a magic wand. He doesn't have absolute control. Okay, Zelensky's a little bitch. But Ursula von der Leyen is basically that look that she has, that contempt that she has for Zelensky, that's real, okay? And he knows that she does not like him. Nobody likes Zelensky, not even Macron. And Macron likes Justin Trudeau. Oh, sorry, Justine Trudeau. Is it Justine Trudeau? Has he come out yet? Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and please support the channel. You can support the channel on Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree, description below, or in my profile. Thank you to all those who support the channel. See you in the next video, and bye for now.